Hi everyone, welcome to the Honest Conversation with the Finleys. This is episode number 2. We decided to start doing this. We haven't really been doing this, but we're picking it back up because we feel like this is a better way for us to communicate. We have a lot of fun with it, honestly, just the two of us, but as just another form of communication with anyone who wants to listen to the things that we're thinking about lately, the messages that we want to share, rather than just typing it up in a short form caption or a simple blog post. We thought this would be a better way to kind of get to know us a little better and hear what's going on lately. So for today, my thought is to just, kind of recap some of the reflections that the two of us have had through quarantine. We're going on, I think, week 8-ish.
7 or 8.
Yeah, and so it's been an interesting time, and I think it'd be interesting for both of us to kind of go through what we learned as a couple, what we've learned individually, and any kind of big takeaways that we want to share with anyone who wants to hear it. I'll let you go first. So
I'm going first. How about we just do it like interview style?
Interview style. So the first question I'm going to ask is, how has your morning routine shifted as a result of the quarantine?
So interesting enough, like during the beginning of the quarantine, obviously everybody around the globe is unsure what's happening and what's going on and how it's going to affect your day to day. And then your day to day, if you're like me or like Erin, we're typically pretty busy. So you go from being pretty busy and doing all these different events and with all these people, and then the next day you're nothing, right? So I remember flying back in from New York and had a really great trip, and then 2 days later, 3 days later, we're in quarantine and my life changes drastically. And for that first week, it was really weird because my morning routine was kind of thrown off. And to combat that, we came up with the whole idea in April where we wanted to do something different every single morning, just to feel kind of like more alive, so that you didn't just wake up and get on your computer and start working. And I mean, for years now, I wake up and get in the bathtub and read, but typically then I start working. But during this quarantine, we started doing that. We got like 14 days in, and then we started realizing that we really liked waking up and meditating in the morning to the waves because we missed the ocean. So
the challenge was, I'll give some background. The challenge was every day was to wake up and do something a little bit uncomfortable. So the first day, a couple of days was like reading and writing a paragraph about what you just read, texting or sending video messages to people that you're thinking about right now, and just send a short clip to say that you miss them, you hope they're doing well, something along those lines. Doing yoga, meditating, running a mile as the first thing in the morning. What else did we do? Recording our biggest fear.
Yeah.
Things like that. And so it made it exciting every morning versus just coming down, having coffee or whatever like I would do. I would have coffee and then I'd get right on my laptop, open my inbox and get plugging away. And I noticed that when I was doing that, I didn't really have any space to even set intention for my day. So it was just like whatever that first email chain came through as was what I was immediately working on. And so yeah, as we were saying, we started getting into this challenge and realized that the meditation was actually really helpful and we really enjoyed it. So we've been doing that a lot.
Yeah, and I think for me, meditation is something like I've tried before and I've done before, but not something I kind of stuck to, only because I kind of viewed my morning habits were already kind of like me reading is kind of me meditating and serving myself and filling my cup up. But I highly recommend, if you're out there like trying kind of like a challenge like that, where you're just doing something new every single day and then finding kind of like which one you like and can build momentum on and then run with it. Because I think we're gonna start stacking different things that we're doing. So we meditate, but I definitely could foresee us in the future, like it's summertime now and it's getting brighter earlier. Like meditating and then going on a walk, or meditating and going on a short run, and like stacking some of the things we've done that we liked.
I think what it's taught in general to both of us, or at least reminded us, is that habits are really important, but it's also really important to like reevaluate what your habits are as circumstances in your life change, because this was a different situation where our previous habits probably weren't suiting us for this particular time. And so the opportunity to take a step back and think, okay, what other things could we potentially do that would be beneficial for our productivity, for our mindset, and just in general. I think it's always good to reflect on your routine and see where you can tweak and maybe drop some things, add some new things, try some things. Like he said that he wasn't a person who meditated. I totally wasn't. I was very much not against it, but I just kind of wrote it off as like, yeah, that's just never something I'm going to be good at because I can't sit still and I can't turn my brain off. So clearly I'm a candidate for meditation. So it's been definitely a challenge, but I think I feel myself finding the benefit of it and getting a little bit more in tune with the thoughts that do come through my head in the times that we're sitting there, which I think is helpful.
I think that just stems into like, you're not supposed to be good at meditating. Like it's not a
it's not like a skill,
but that's what the problem.
I meant like
no. The problem that you have, and the problem that we all have, is when we're trying to pick something up, we want to be good at it right from the get-go. So when we first started it, she was just like, I can't quiet my brain. And I'm just like, don't. Like, think about the things that you're thinking of. That's fine. But just like, enjoy thinking about whatever comes up. And then wherever that takes you, it takes you. But just give yourself those 5 or 10 or 15 minutes to just think, rather than like be worried about what's on your phone, or worried about what's on your laptop, and then all these different things. So my key piece of this whole start of this conversation is definitely challenge yourself to try new things right from the get-go in the morning. Like, you might be surprised by how you can bring so much more joy to your life if you just start your day better, and that just rolls off into everything else. And then 2, be open to like not being good, just being like not worrying about putting the pressure of like, if you're gonna go run tomorrow morning, like don't run to run a mile under 6 minutes. Like, just go on a jog and then come back and see how you feel. And then if you want to run again the next day, do it. Or if you want to try something else, do that. But what you don't want to do is just get stuck in this loop of doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. And I think that's where in the quarantine, we were doing the same things that we were doing before and expecting kind of the same fulfillment out of life, but that just wasn't the case. So we had to start adjusting and making our own fulfillment. And now we're here. So now we're meditating every day, and it's great. And I guess it's my turn to ask a question. Yeah. Or do you have anything else?
Go ahead, ask me a question.
So now that we've gone through quarantine pretty much, because in Texas we just opened up, for you actually are going to have to go back to work. Not this week, but the week after. What are some things that when you get back to your normal schedule, quote unquote, are you leaving behind and then also adding in? And what could others out there who potentially are in a corporate situation, do you think that they should be looking at as they go back to work?
A couple of things that I've been reflecting on lately as it relates to my actual job, and then as it relates to my daily behavior and mood and just what I do on a day-to-day for myself. So what I've noticed from quarantine is that I've been making it more of a priority to go outside, walk around, just basically move without the intention of exercise. So as if you know me, you know I'm very passionate about fitness and exercising, but to me it's been more of a category of my day where it's like, all right, that's just a bucket of time that's going to be dedicated to like intense or very focused effort of physical activity. What I was lacking was intermittent spouts of movement throughout my day of just being like, all right, I did a chunk of work. Now I'm going to go walk for 10 minutes because what's 10 minutes? Like 10 minutes.
We'll give a visual
of
of this. So
around.
Like when you're working from home, you have the ability to kind of like go for a walk outside. But when you're at your
when I'm
desk,
at my desk,
you're like
this has made me realize it even more so that I will literally sit at my desk and just plug away for hours on end without even getting up sometimes. Like I'll have my big water, but sometimes I'm just like glued to the desk where I know it's not good, but I'm like in the zone and I'm working. And this has made me realize that when I do actually take a break to walk around and maybe do something where I like read a couple pages of a book that's unrelated to my job, or I'll listen to something inspiring, or I'll even do like 20 minutes of a workout because I can and I don't have to like go somewhere else outside of my office, which it's just been really nice to like break it up. So whatever that looks like, whether it's movement or just another activity that switches your brain off, I definitely know I need to do more of that when I return back to the office. The other thing that relates a little bit more to my job is the communication. So I think everyone out there has probably experienced that we've had to shift the way we're communicating on a day-to-day basis with the people we work with. So we're probably having more meetings and more calls, but it's made me just be a little bit more clear and upfront with everybody about things that I'm thinking about, things that I think need to get done, or what I'm working on, and just being a little bit more proactive in the communication aspect of things. Whereas in the office, sometimes you're just kind of doing your own thing and you don't want to over communicate anything because everyone just seems busy, but now it's almost like an excuse to communicate. So I've noticed that I personally feel better when I over communicate versus when I potentially may, not communicate enough on something. So that is something that I'm going to continue to do as well. I think but let me clarify that, because I don't mean communicate and like ask for people's, ask for things while you're communicating, but just keeping people up to date, I think, is important. So that's one thing that I found.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's kind of like the opposite. So how you're like glued to something, I find it hard to be glued to anything. And I think as an entrepreneur, like that's just a normal trait for a ton of us. Shiny object syndrome is rampant, and then just like you get these new ideas and new things without finishing the old idea that you were on. And one of the things that quarantine has let me kind of realize is how much I love to like get in the zone and really hammer one thing. But I used to get pulled in so many different directions because I could, because if someone called me and was like, hey, you want to go meet up, or you want to do this, or you want to do that, I felt more obligated because I'm like, oh, this is going to help me, or I can help them. And now it's more so I'm thinking, okay, what can I work on that's not just going to have an impact today, but an impact on tomorrow and like a month from now. And it's just allowed me to think more clearly on the direction that I want to go, and be more prone to, okay, I'm going to work for 3 hours on this one thing rather than changing things every 10 minutes. So I think for me, it's quite the opposite, but both of us, I think, are trying to find like that happy medium of intentionally working on what we're trying to get done, but then taking breaks for our mental, physical, and spiritual health, and finding what that looks like for us and how many hours in a day that looks like, and how many days in a week that looks like, and what we want, because we don't predicate our success on any which way. We kind of just go about things, build momentum, and then figure out what feels right for us. And obviously with the quarantine, you're feeling a ton of different emotions and forced to live life in a different manner. So I think we've adjusted pretty well. And I'm excited to hopefully get out of this.
We've both realized how important it is to guard our time now. It's been eye-opening to see when you don't have as many things to say no to, you're really just aware of what you normally say yes to. And I think it's definitely making us realize like how important it is to carry that forward and be just like really mindful of what we choose to do with our time. as it relates to things we're working on. So a question for you would be, what is one unexpected little project or something that you've done as a result of this time period that you probably would not have done if we weren't going through this?
So there's two things. One of them has to do with Thrive, and internally we started a Mighty Network, which we were already planning, but this kind of forced my cards.
What's a Mighty Network?
A Mighty Network is essentially, it's a platform. It's like Facebook, but on steroids, I call it. So it's essentially this platform where you can gather like-minded people and discuss different topics and have different interests and have polls and different things. And we've been running masterminds through them through Zoom as well. But the platform allows you to scale and create courses and things like that as well, which we intend to do. But now we're just focused on growing the community of some really, really cool people that are way better at me in different avenues of life. And it's really cool to see them interact and learn some of the tricks of the trade in these different industries. So we have that going, and that's really cool. And then the other thing that I never would have done is help my buddy Moby on Online First Summit. And that's launching May 11th through the 14th with 70 plus speakers. And he put that together because he was furloughed because of the quarantine, and he wanted to do something to help all the other people out there that would potentially be losing their jobs, or if they're business owners, they've been selling in person and now need to sell digitally. He wanted to gather as many speakers, creatives, experts to essentially host 1 hour blocks of talks and informational engagements to help those people basically take their idea that they had, shift it onto the digital world, grow communities on the digital world, and then sell their products and their vision online. So that this ever were to happen again, if we have a second wave, anybody that attends this conference, summit, gathering would have the skill set and now also potentially the connections to help them waver that storm. So it's been really cool, and it's something that I think, I mean, we just had a call earlier. It's building momentum to some things in the future that I can't even see yet, which is really cool. I'm all about events and stuff, so it's giving me some ideas of potentially running some type of summit later this year or something like that.
Like, how has the creativity that you've had to flip on because of this like restriction, like open your eyes to what you can do moving forward, I guess? Like, how can you keep with the mindset of just innovation and like being very agile with anything you're working on? I think it's a crucial takeaway. And what's going to be one, I guess, criteria that you're going to have as part of your work style to make sure that you are moving forward with that in mind?
Yeah, I mean, like for me specifically, no more meetings. Like, unless it's a client, it's all going to be virtual and Zoom. I haven't really noticed a difference in, I mean, I'm a people person, so I love being in person. But in terms of like getting things done for work, I've actually gotten done more now because it's just way more efficient, where I can wake up and then be on my own time and the other person can be on their own time as well. So you can kind of feel like the stress relief of like not having to go anywhere or go out of the way for this particular thing. And I think dealing with this conference and seeing Moby be able to put this all together without meeting a single person really is really inspiring. And I can't even imagine, like, once we can run events again, how efficient we're gonna be at doing this, because instead of meeting in person, it's like, yo, let's all hop on Zoom and like do this mastermind real quick, 30 minutes, and then move on to the next thing. So it's been pretty enlightening, and honestly, we knew it was there before, but it's one of those things in like human nature where like you have blind spots and you can't really see. But then also people are resistant to change. So this was forced change, and I don't think people are gonna wanna go back in a lot of ways. So I'm one that's included in that number. So whoever's looking to pick my brain or have a meeting or whatever, it's definitely gonna be forced more digitally than anything else. How about you? What's the thing that you're working on And then I think we gotta wrap up because this thing only goes for 30 minutes.
I have one last question.
For me? But you're working on something too during this.
So, yeah, I mean, I was still gonna work on it. The things that I'm working on, I was still gonna do regardless, but I think this extra time has been beneficial to me. So instead of commuting and, you know, spending half an hour or more each day driving to and from work, I've been putting time into what I want to build out on the side for myself. And some of those areas that I'm passionate about are helping people, women especially, with confidence and just mindset, self-doubt, identity, all kinds of topics that relate to how you show up in the world. And so I'm kind of reviving an old idea I had a few years ago that I put on the table for a while as I was finishing school, called Girls with Goals. And it's just going to be an inclusive community of women that are there to support and share insight and collective wisdom and stories to help each other. We've had a couple virtual conversations so far because we couldn't meet for in-person events. I want to continue to do virtual so that people outside of Austin are able to join. We had a couple people on the call last week that were not in Austin, and it was great to have them. So I think that perspective is always great and want to keep it growing. So that's one thing that I've been getting the ball rolling on. Another area is I really want to continue to build out some of my own fitness content and continue to help people in that way. I'm mostly thinking about the people that have a lifestyle very similar to mine, which is a full-time career and not a lot of time to dedicate to your health, your physical fitness. I don't work out for hours a day. I work out a normal routine. I work out probably 20 to 30 minutes on average 5 times a week, sometimes longer on the weekends. I do teach on the weekends, but I've always been an advocate for not needing much more than that to stay mostly healthy and physically fit. So the style of workouts that I'm doing and programming and working on to release are just all about people with a very busy lifestyle that want to be able to do things efficiently from anywhere. And this has been a good time for me to test all those things. So those are mine too, and more to come on both of those things, but I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice.
Last question that I have that I think would be fun to wrap up with is, what has been most surprising to you about working side by side by me every single day?
Oh, you're just looking for me to, you know what my response is going to be to this. So it's funny because with quarantine, like when you're in relationships, you know it could go one of two ways. You're either going to start chewing each other's heads off and arguing, or you're gonna get along great. And for us, I knew it was gonna be the latter because the more time I get to spend with Erin, the better. It's always been like that, which is why I love traveling, because it's just really fun. But with this, it's been really cool because we now kind of see like the future that we want, where even though we're not necessarily working on the same things, just being able to like take a quick break together and like catch up with each other essentially helps us become a stronger team. And the reason it does that is because beforehand, like when she's working all during the day and so am I, we only have a little bit of time at the end of the night. And like, it's this weird thing where I don't really want to talk about the day. I just want to like hang out. And when we're with each other during the day, like we don't have to talk about what happened that day, because like we kind of interact and we see each other. And then once it becomes 5 p.m., 6 p.m. and we can go for a walk, like we're not having that conflict of like what the one person wants to do versus the other. We're like both in rhythm of, oh, we already know, we've already did this today, like let's go do this other thing.
Yeah.
So it's been eye-opening for me to see like, wow, this is really how life should be with the people that you love. And how do we get to that? I mean, obviously when you're going back to work, how do we like continue that trend even though you're at work? So whether it's just like a voice note like halfway through the day, or a little video halfway through the day of like, hey, what's checking in, like how's your day, what you up to, and like creating that cadence, because I mean, again, it's one of those things where we don't know what we don't know, and we couldn't really see like wow, that was a possibility. Like you could just go walk outside and like send me a quick little video, and then I can do the same thing. And then when you get home, it's like instead of like, how was your day, recapping, it's just like, oh, let's go do this and enjoy ourselves. So
I think that's a great idea. And I think one thing that I've definitely realized, I thought it was going to be a lot harder. So I've been surprised by how nice that it's been to spend this much time together. I thought we were going to definitely be like annoyed and just on different wavelengths of working. But one thing that I've really appreciated is the opportunity to see what days are like for CJ, and I'm sure it's been helpful for you to see like what my day is like as well. And that just makes me think, for those that are there with their wives that may be home with kids and stuff, it's just really nice every now and then to have the time to just put yourself in the other person's shoes and really understand what their day-to-day is like, because you can just develop so much more, I don't know, appreciation. Like the appreciation should always be there, but it's one thing to actually like live it and see it and just have that respect reminded to you. And so for me especially,
she's sugarcoating this. So like she used to say that I used to just run around and do whatever, and I think like for entrepreneurs it's a different world. And so I'm taking meetings constantly.
Generally just then, but
no, I know
specifics.
But like even for me though, to see you, like the confidence you have on calls and stuff like that is like really cool. But what I was getting at is she couldn't really I couldn't communicate what I do on a daily basis because I'm not in the confines of a normal role. But at the end of the day, it's still relatively similar. I just have a different structure to my days because I'm the one setting that structure. And now you're in this place where like you're setting your structure too. Like when do you work well? When are you like on? So like for me, like my on hours are after I read and like meditate and get my zone. Like from 9 to like noon, I can like crank away. But as soon as it hits noon and it's just like I gotta stop staring at the screen, I gotta go do something to reset. And then again, I kind of turn on again around 3, 4, 5, which is different. It's different for everybody. But when you're in a corporate atmosphere, it's like everybody has to be on this time. Like it's not a different thing. And now that you've been able to like kind of see that, I think it's been enlightening for you to see, because again, I am like all over the place and out there, but she hasn't been able to see like on a daily basis how much effort I'm actually putting into certain things. And then vice versa, because I'm not just speaking for, I get to see like, I'm beyond impressed with how hard you can work for an extended period of time. Like that is a skill that not everybody has, including myself. But it also, just like on my end, pros and cons. Like, and I think the best part about our relationship is we're able to spitball and figure out what are the pros of like what you saw I'm doing, and like what are the cons, and then like what are the pros of you doing and what are the cons. And then we come together, and that's what helped me realize like, man, I can do a lot from this little thing right here. Like I don't have to like be out and about and like killing myself to achieve the things that I want to achieve. And then for you, like you can go on a midday run and like the world's not going to burn down, and then you can come back and actually be more efficient. So it's been, the best part for me has been able to like communicate the different strengths and negatives of each situation.
Yeah. That's our takeaways for quarantine right now. I think things are starting to go a little bit more back to what they were pre-COVID, but we shall see. And regardless, I think these takeaways are going to stick with us for a while. So hopefully you found some value in what we are carrying with us forward. So we'll be back next time with a new conversation, honest, maybe an argument, who knows what. We'll
let us know. That's one thing you can help us with, is what type of topics do you like to hear?
We disagree on a lot, so there's plenty of interesting conversations that we can have. So let us know. Always happy to take those and put them in the back pocket for next time. So
let us know. Like, subscribe. I don't even know. Is that what people say on YouTube? But yeah, thanks y'all. Drive on.